name is Sam, and thanks for checking out this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below, hit the little bell too, and give the video a thumbs up. So for anyone new here, I like to do my monthly wrap-ups a little bit differently than I think most people do. I will tell you all the books that I read, any books that I DNF'd, tell you my favorite, my least favorite, my most surprising book, and then I'll just give you some lessons on what these books taught me, which generally tend to lean on the heavy sarcastic side, because I am proudly fluent in sarcasm. So this month I managed to finish 23 books and DNF 2 books, bringing my total kind of attempted number to 25. So the first book that I read this month was Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. This was a reread for me. Mistress of Rome by Kate Quinn. I actually DNF'd this book. Daughter of Sherlock Holmes by Leonard Goldberg, I believe it is. Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller as a reread. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is technically a reread, but it's been several years since I've read this one. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline as a reread. Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. Mun Mun by Jesse Andrews. This was an arc, and I actually DNF'd this. The List by Patricia Ford. The Book Jumper by Mechthild Glaser. Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstances by, I always blank on this author's name. Something Ruth Lang. Everless by Sarah Holland. Dread Nation by Justina Ireland as an arc. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling as kind of a reread, but also kind of not a reread because I read the illustrated edition for the first time. Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young as an arc. A Secret History of Witches by Louisa Morgan. The Reader by Tracy Chee. Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi as an arc. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody as an arc. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas as a reread. Sight Witch by Susan Dennard, Jane Unlimited by Kristen Kishore, and The Heart of Betrayal by Mary Pearson as a reread. So for favorite book of the month, this was kind of hard, and I stared for like probably 2 hours off and on at my bookshelf looking at these 3 books, trying to decide, and I just couldn't, because they're all kind of like good in their own way and important in their own kind of way, and like they were just like legit good. So like I get to flex the rules. Why be super stringent and kick out a book that I want to like give some props and hype to? So my top 3 favorite books of the month were Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody, Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and The Reader by Tracy Chee. I think if you had like twisted my arm and like college exam or something like that and yelled at me that you have to pick just one, I would have gone with Children of Blood and Bone, but they were all just like really legitimately so good. I think the most surprising book that I read this month was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I didn't hate it, however, there's just so much hype around this book, and I don't know if it's just because of that there were fairies in it, and we're obsessed with fairies, but I was really underwhelmed and kind of let down by this book. Maybe not let down by the book, let down by the hype for the book kind of situation. So I think I am going to try and reread it because it was just a very slow book. And I kind of knew that I wasn't a fan of Holly Black's writing all that much going into it. But the hype was like trying to like convince me, and it kind of did. And I got here and I was like, that's it? That was all of it? So easily, my least favorite book of the month was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I know it is a product of the time, and I'm not going to, like, not, take it any stars away from it. I can't expect a book written in, like, 1870 or whenever this book was written, or maybe during the World Wars, I don't even know, to, be written with the same morals and lessons of 2018, because we've come an awful long way just in the past few years, let alone, like, decades, like leaps and bounds. And I think it's just particularly just because of how, my job and what I do, as well as just living in Canada. We are very vocal right now about trying to right the wrongs and coming to the realization of how many, like, just government institutions, let alone, like, the entire Canadian society, has racism built into it towards Indigenous people. So using, like, the terminology towards the Indigenous people in this and, like, just kind of homogenizing them as, like, oh, I don't want to say the word that was used for them. It was so cringy and made me so uncomfortable and just, it was just super uncomfortable. And I actually had a couple of friends I was talking to about this, and they were saying, yeah, they do actually read it to their kids, but they actually use it as a discussion tool. I can't remember for the life of me which one of my friends was, but she went through there and explained to her kid while she was reading, she's like, you don't use that language, and talked about exactly, what that language means and why you wouldn't use it, and she found it extremely helpful because her kid had never actually interacted with someone who would use language like this just because of where she geographically lived, and he was a kid, so he hadn't been on the internet yet. So I love that that's being used that way. So I think if you are going to use some of this old like classics that have some problematic content in it, it's kind of an interesting tool that you can use to have like a conversation. And that note actually perfectly leads me into my February lessons. Now this one is actually like a legitimate lesson that I learned of. I, even as a librarian, though I do most of my job in an office, still need to learn how to deal with cringy, problematic material when it's in something like classics where you can't pretend that it doesn't exist. So this month, this obscenely tall stack of books of Sightwitch, The Heart of Betrayal, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Ready Player One, The Hunger Games, Daughter of the Pirate King, and Outlander taught me how bad my memory is. These are all rereads, and I legitimately did not remember 99% of the things that happened in these books. The Cruel Prince reminded me that I feel very, very lost and out of the loop when there's a book with so much hype around it and I like read it and I'm like, I don't get it. This is going in the pile with books like The Raven Boys and like the E. Schwab stuff where you're like, okay, I don't get it. Like, I've read this book and I feel like I'm missing chapters of the book, which contributes to the hype. The Hunger Games has reinforced my faith and belief and knowledge that I am still, after like, 8 years or so? Team PETA all the way. Children of Blood and Bone taught me two things. That one, hype can be well-deserved, and two, I am so excited for a new Harry Potter level style and volume of fandom. Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstances taught me that I still, at the age of 25, feel like I missed out on something by not getting to be raised by wolves. Sky in the Deep taught me that we need to make Vikings a trend in YA books, as well as the fact that YA needs to stop having violently graphic, deathy scenes where people get murdered and then pretending that sex doesn't happen and doing fade to black. Because, no, that's just, no. You just murdered someone. I can deal with them hooking up, man. Unearthed and Sightwitch reminded / taught me / made me thoroughly realize and accept the fact that I would volunteer to go into a cave or an unsettled planet because I, in this month of February 2018, and just done with the world. The list gave me the idea that I feel like we should take a currency platform or like program where people had to pay for the money for what they get to type on the internet and apply it to all social media areas in the comment section of news articles. Can you imagine how much cleaner and organized and bearable the internet would be if people had to pay for the words that they used? Daughter of Sherlock Holmes made me realize that I'm still in love with all references. There's really no exception to Sherlock Holmes being referred to in a book outside of Sherlock Holmes. The Book Jumper actually made me realize that that previous statement was not true. I love him being referred to, just don't kill him. The Cruel Prince and A Secret History of Witches made me realize that I don't actually fall in love and get immediately enthralled into a fandom of any book where there are witches or fairies, which, for my wallet is actually probably a relief. The Reader made me realize that I would also probably die to defend certain books. I don't know if that's just my personality or the profession that I'm in, but yeah, fully would do it. Ace of Shades made me kind of more interested than I've ever been to go visit Las Vegas, because it's our city of sin. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if, we had gang leaders. No, I would like to watch that, not be a part of gang leaders. I don't know, I'd still like to really go to City of Sin now, though. And finally, Jane Unlimited taught me a variety of things that I really can't form into a cohesive sentence. But really, my big takeaway was, I want to find a book. Maybe I would prefer it be a good book, but in all honesty, I just want to find a book where an author manages to somehow incorporate every single genre into one book and have it be under 1,000 pages. That would be like a true testament to the author. It doesn't even have to be good. Like I said, I would prefer it to be good, but I mean, really, that is a challenge. So that is my February wrap-up and lessons. Let me know in the comment section down below what you read this month, if you read any of these and loved or hated them. Make sure to check the description box for links to all of the Books Goodreads pages, as well as links to all of my social media. If you follow me, I will follow you back.